Farmers' objectives and resource use. Decision-makers in agriculture pursue their objectives using the resources available to them. These objectives consist of a set of sub-goals which determine the decision-making behavior of families involved in agriculture. The set of sub-goals constitutes the target complex of a farming system. The horizontal analysis of a farming system is based on the hypothesis that the decisions of farm owners are based on the components of their target complex and their weighting. The target complex is reflected accordingly in the use of the available resources. From the perspective of decision-makers in farming systems, the goal of horizontal analysis is to assess the use of their own resources in relation to their personal objectives. For farm advisors, scientists, and those responsible for policy formulation, horizontal analysis is a benchmark for the current situation of farming systems with regard to forecasts and planning. The horizontal analysis focuses on the relationship and interdependencies between the components within a farming system. The impact of external factors is then the subject of the subsequent vertical analysis. The starting point of the horizontal analysis is the recording of existing resources and their use in the 4 sub-areas of farming systems. This requires a differentiation according to the alternative uses of resources. For resources such as family labor and cash availability, competitive relationships between all sub-areas are highly likely. Competition for other resources depends significantly more on the local situation. For example, in farming systems in European countries, competition for water between household and farm is significantly less likely than under the conditions of arid areas in Africa. The list of resources for which empirical research provides evidence of alternative uses in all 4 sub-areas of farming systems currently includes 5 capacities that should be examined on a case-by-case basis. These include, in addition to the 2 resources already mentioned, transport capacities, professional skills, and institutions, in other words the written and unwritten rules within which a farming system operates. Resources for which uses in more than one, albeit not all, subsectors are known are, in addition to water resources, energy, buildings and storage, land and forests, and agricultural machinery. In addition to resources with alternative uses, resource analysis also records purely sector-specific capacities, in other words resources that can only be used in one of the 4 areas, such as agricultural installations or household equipment. This also includes community resources currently used by the farming system, such as access to communal pastures or water points for farming, as well as childcare facilities and external healthcare services in the household. The reason for considering alternatively usable and sector-specific resources separately is to capture competition and, where appropriate, complementarity in resource use by the subsectors. The distribution and use of resources in the 4 subsectors allow conclusions about the target structure of decision-makers in farming systems and indicates their decision-making behavior about the use of additional resources.